So out of all the people in the country with senior police experience, Minister Senzo Mchunu chose Cedric Nkabinde to be his chief of staff. He is the actual boss and gatekeeper in that office. Someone please explain to me how. Because after seeing his performance at the Ad Hoc Committee in Parliament, there is no way this guy was the best choice. Even the one man he claims to be friends with, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, was puzzled that he had landed this lucrative position. His performance was so poor that the committee had to let him go. Hello everyone, welcome back to Joe Talks Politics. I am your host, Joseph Mosia. Let's get right into this. It was clear from the get-go that Cedric Nkabinde was not going to be your regular witness. He explained to the committee that he had first met Minister Mchunu some years ago when he was still at IPID and Mchunu had a complaint. For purposes of investigation, he had obtained the minister's cell number. Here's an exchange with evidence leader advocate Norman Arendse.
After you left IPID in 2018, did you subsequently have any dealings with or interaction with Minister Mchunu?
I got to know Minister Mchunu in that basis. Then after that, I kept contact with him, even though it was not regularly. But he's a person that I kept contact with him as a person of a high profile. Once in a while, we do have to chat on some other general things, maybe 6 months, 8 months, but it was not regular. But I kept contact with him.
Why? What would have been your common interest to keep contact?
My common interest, Chair, I know this person as a premier, and I'm having now his direct contact with him. So he's a person I look up to as our high profile in the government, in politics. You only see these people on TV. Then once you have that, then I kept contact that now I know a premier. For the status, I know the premier. Like for instance, here in this room, if I can get a number, I'll keep it. I'll keep it. These are high people I will look up to. You see them on TV. Now I've got a direct contact with that person.
When Mkhwanazi appeared at the committee, he told members that while he knew and was in constant contact with Nkabinde, they were not really friends.
So the engagement in Nkabinde was always about work issues, mostly, nothing else. Until he's out of the job, then we'll start telling me about how is he trying to make the ends living and how he's trying to survive on things. So we ended up having those casual talks with him. That's why I said earlier, I don't necessarily know much about his private life, not much about his family. You know, I will know his house, I know his wife and his 2 boys, but the rest I didn't necessarily know much about him because we're not friends to that extent. It's people that know each other. So the engagement between myself and Mr. Nkabinde and the minister only happened on the day when Mr. Nkabinde took me to Mpangeni. I drove with him to Mpangeni where we met the minister. And it was just to show that he knows the minister and there was nothing else more that was discussed.
He also expressed misgivings about Nkabinde's suitability for the job.
So his appointment as a chief of staff, I said at the time he was working for IPID, he left IPID, he was unemployed. Up until the Minister of Police, Mr. Senzo Mchunu, was appointed as a Minister of Police. That is when he invited Nkabinde to come and join him to work with him as a chief of staff. That was the first time Nkabinde got to be employed, literally basically moving from a very junior rank that he was holding in the police to a chief director position that he ended up occupying, which he occupies now, a chief director in the office of the minister. So that's why I said earlier, when he received the phone call from the minister asking him to become a chief of staff, he had no clue what is a chief of staff. He phoned me to ask me, what do chief of staffs do? Because the only thing Nkabinde knew is a case docket, because he was just an investigator. That's all he knew. So when he's invited to become a chief of staff was a shocker to him, but I ended up telling him about the amount of money he's going to be paid when he gets to that position.
Nkabinde, still in his Cedric the Entertainer mode, told a different story altogether.
And you say at paragraph 33, in the middle of that paragraph, I went with Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi to Mpangeni to attend to his errands.
That's correct, Chair.
As he had asked me, and we also stopped by at Minister Mchunu's house when you introduced him to Minister Mchunu.
That's correct, Chair.
What were those errands that you referred to?
Chair, I wrote it deliberately like this because it was personal stuff of General Mkhwanazi, where I was accompanied. General Mkhwanazi was a very close friend of mine. I think it's safe to say it was a boys' trip. Safe to say like that. Otherwise, me and him will get into trouble. Because I believe his wife and my wife are watching here. So I don't want to delve much.
So you can't tell us much more. Is it personal?
Yeah, no, it was very personal. Things that we do with him are sometimes very personal.
But there are limits to how far playing the jester can take you. When it came to serious business, members were not laughing. In his evidence, Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi told members that he had confirmed Brown Mokgotzi's identity and cell number with Nkabinde. Nkabinde himself has confirmed that indeed Mkhwanazi had called him and that he had given him the information. This was at the end of September in 2024. But then the evidence leader wanted to know when he had first met Mkhwanazi. He replied that this was when Minister Mchunu wanted him to arrange a meeting with Mkhwanazi in mid-November, and that was the first time he obtained Mkhwanazi's cell number from the minister. And this is where it all went wrong. The two statements were completely incompatible with each other. When pressed on this issue, he then changed his statement.
Chief of Staff, is this affidavit your affidavit?
Yes, it's correct.
Do you confirm everything that is in this affidavit?
It's correct.
Did you have your gadgets when you were writing this affidavit?
No, dates, I was thumb sucking.
So we are being given a thumb-sucked information here in front of the nation, and we must accept that. Because the simple thing should have been to the evidence leaders, I don't have my gadgets, and as a result, I'm unable to give you an accurate information. Because you are under oath. Some of these things are going to come across as being lies under oath, because you didn't have the equipment. So this information written here is not worth the paper written on, because it's thumb-sucked. Why should we proceed with these proceedings if you are saying you don't remember anything before or after? When you are caught, you change, it must have been before. Because here, paragraph 78, I confirmed that I knew who Brown Mkhwanazi was, and that the minister too knew Brown Mkhwanazi from Northwest. Lieutenant General sent Brown Mkhwanazi's number to me, and I confirmed that it was indeed Brown Mkhwanazi's number. This is a very serious detail, which you can't just give if you don't make reference to anything at your disposal. You even give specific date. You say 30th September.
According to Nkabinde, the minister did not consider any other candidates for the position of Chief of Staff. He says he was the only one Mchunu put forward. The position of Chief of Staff in any ministerial office is one of the most demanding and sensitive roles in government. It requires a combination of administrative discipline, absolute accuracy, sound judgment, and the ability to protect the credibility of the minister they serve. A chief of staff must be more organized, more detail-oriented, and more reliable than anyone else in the political executive support structure. It is for this reason that the shortcomings revealed in Cedric Nkabinde's testimony before the Ad Hoc Committee are so troubling. They point not only merely to personal lapses, but to a fundamental mismatch between the skills required for the position and the performance he exhibited. At the most basic level, he must maintain and verify critical information, especially the minister's schedule, key meetings, and communications with precision. Yet the committee heard that Nkabinde submitted an affidavit containing approximate and guessed dates, which he later defended on the grounds that his electronic devices had been seized.
Where in my affidavit, where there are specific dates that are mentioned or a period, I could apologize to the committee that it could be not a correct and a correct version because there was nothing assisting me in recollecting. But I did mention to the evidence leader that I'm having this predicament. And then the evidence leader guided me that at least can you estimate? So it was on those bases. But if there are this discrepancy in terms of dates and the period, it's because I don't have a help on my accurate information from my gadget.
This justification reflects poorly on his understanding of the responsibilities inherent in his position. He cannot rely solely on personal devices to track ministerial activities. An entire administrative structure exists: diaries, official email systems, departmental calendars, and personal assistants. By failing to consult these alternative sources, he demonstrated a lack of procedural discipline consistent with such a senior administrative role. The lack of preparation shown before such a high-stakes hearing is another significant red flag. The committee chair indicated that Nkabinde failed to respond clearly to straightforward questions.
We want you to go back and make honest reflections about the information that you think we deserve to get from you. If there is any moral standard that you subscribe to, summon that moral standard to your statement. If there is any ethical standard that you subscribe to, summon that ethical standard to your statement. If there is any badge of integrity you have on your shoulders, put that badge of integrity on your shoulders, and then write a statement that you think is for the attention of this committee. Make a determination or make a choice to help us to arrive at a decision that can help the Republic of South Africa to move forward. We can't pray for you, unfortunately. And we cannot even organize any ceremony for the ancestors for you to subscribe to all those values that we have spoken to. It's a conscious choice that you must make as a citizen of this country, especially that you understand that you are one of the senior public servants in the democratic state. So go and look at yourself in the mirror. When you look at that mirror, see morality written in the mirror and read it and understand what it is. See integrity in the mirror. See ethics in the mirror. see all the values in Section 195 of the South African Constitution and internalize them, and then make a statement that must appear before this committee. That must come before this committee.
All these issues naturally raise a further, more political question. Why did Minister Mchunu appoint Nkabinde in the first place? The mismatch between the demands of the position and the performance observed suggests either that Nkabinde was never suited for the role or that the minister prioritized qualities other than competence and administrative rigor during the appointment process. If the latter is true, it points to a worrying possibility that political loyalty or personal familiarity may have outweighed professional merit. This is really bad considering the accusations Minister Mchunu is facing. These include that he had sought to disband a critical crime-fighting entity to favor crime syndicates and drug cartels. It raises questions like, is Nkabinde a link between the minister and the underworld? These are all questions the minister will have to answer at some point. So, what do you think? Is Nkabinde really confused, or is he deliberately playing the fool? Give us your views in the comments below. We have less than 2 months before the end of this year, and we are still trying to get to 5,000 subscribers before then. So if you are not yet one of our subscribers, please do so. Thank you very much to our 4,500 subscribers. That's it from me, Joseph Mosia. See you in the next episode.